Here we go. Kind of an important part. Good afternoon, everyone. It's happy to see everybody. What a beautiful, beautiful day. I don't really hear, but
No.
it's perfect. It's great. Today we get to talk on true love in, I guess, accordance with Valentine's Day, which is kind of
Ah,
fun because that's that month where everybody likes to talk about Valentine's Day and, having that occur. But let me start with scan anybody. You want to scan everybody first? Oops.
sure.
We can scan you all real quick. Such great hearts. All right, let's walk up to the creator of all that is. Everybody take a deep breath in and close your eyes and gather all the energy from the bottoms of your feet. Go through your space and see yourself in a beautiful ball of light. Be any color, but take it up to the sky and the universe. A series of white lights, dark lights, and golden light, all the way up through that jelly-like substance and into that tingly white light. And unconditional love, fill every cell of your body. Once you're there, say, Creator, thank you for my life. Take a deep breath in and open your eyes.
Ah,
All right. I think we got everything here.
I think so.
There's so many things popped up out of us. All right.
What? Oh, I got the leg tap.
Here we go. I
Okay.
like close all these things.
So, hi. I think the best way to start this conversation about anything is just to really understand that there's so many pressures in it. Like, think about the pressures that we put into love. Think about all the mindsets and all the conversations and all the manifestations about how many ways we want to be seen and what we have. And there's this level of pressure that immediately everybody knows from the word, right? Especially if we say true love. Let's say true love.
Right. True love. I mean, there's so many different interpretations, not only just probably from our own selves, saying from all of our different generations and everything that we've ever experienced that says it should be like this, but there's pressure all around us that's saying it should be like this.
So it's full of all kinds of extra little tricks behind it. Because once you do discover true love, then you have to maintain true love. Two different things. Because you can find love and have it for a moment. And that's oftentimes what ends up happening in our world is we have a moment, a day, a week, where we feel connected and we feel deep and we feel understood. And then we have to grow those moments. And so when we have a discussion about this, it's the same as knowing how to truly love yourself. Like before you can really, truly have deep, connective love in your life every day for another person, you have to have it for yourself.
It You hear this a lot, but it really is true. It does help enhance that ability to really deeply love somebody else. Yes, you can love somebody but you oftentimes end up giving things away that aren't recognized within yourself because you think that it's true love, or you heard that it's something you're supposed to do that's true love, or you would generations and generations of your own culture may have been doing it that way for true love. But really, when it comes down to it, understanding and recognizing all the most amazing and beautiful things about yourself is where it starts, so that you can give that love back to somebody else without taking away from yourself.
Doesn't mean that makes you the most important person in the world. And it doesn't all of a sudden mean, like I heard somebody the other day say they're tired of hearing that in an article that I read because there's a desire to connect with another person. And of course there is. There should be. What it means is to have true deep levels, you have to be able to make a choice every day for each other. And in order to actually choose each other, you have to know that your voice is a part of the process.
That's what that means when you say true love for yourself and another person. Because if you're unable to have the voice for yourself, then you're always giving away for somebody else's opinion over your own.
Because what happens in life and everywhere else is that we experience things differently. And it's going to be the same way with our partner.
Yes.
Even though you're together, even though you share life, even though you share relationships, even though you share family members, everything that you share, you're still two separate people.
If we have two different personalities, two different thoughts, two different everything, we're completely different. But that doesn't mean that we don't have a rock solid foundation that we've built on that understands and appreciates and loves each other and understands what that means to bring each other to the table. Two wholes coming to the table.
And so when we wake up today, uh, after we go back to bed in a little while, and then we wake up again. No, even right now, there's a choice that we make, and that choice is getting to understand the newest version of each other, right? Everything that that person has been is fantastic, and it's counted on, and there's going to be some consistency, but there's always the opportunity to change. And it doesn't matter if we did the same thing every single day for 25 years in a row. She
Mm-hmm.
still has the opportunity to make a choice, and I still have an opportunity to make a choice. And love is people choosing each other
Yeah.
and appreciating the fact that you chose each other, right? So there's no amount of time that ever makes it so that it's forever concreted that that person is going to stay the exact same, because there's no amount of time that's ever concreted that you're going to stay the exact same. You're evolving, you're changing. You've always been evolving. You've always been changing. So too will your partner be. And true love is knowing and embracing that change. Oftentimes in our world, we see people get stuck in moments.
Yes, where it's back in the very beginning or a certain time frame that you guys had together where it was so amazing and wonderful, you get stuck there because you don't want to live past it because it felt good. It was something that was memorable, and you just get stuck and you just go back and repeat, rather than recognizing that things can move forward and still be that way, but it's not always going to have the highs. There's going to be lows. There's going to be mid. Things are going to fluctuate. That's part of true love.
So when you understand that, you start to kind of make those connections within yourself, and you know in life what's going on and how things happen. You can kind of grow yourself and know those moments and belong in them, but you can choose that person, right? When you choose that person, you make those conversations, you have that opportunity to grow with each other, you have all these different things. If you make a gesture, one gesture, there's going to be an expectation that the gesture is to happen again, right? It's human nature. It's human nature. And oftentimes, if we do one thing a little bit, it can be received with the energy and vibration of love. If we do one thing a lot of it, we start to get used to. We start to get used to somebody's actions. We start to get used to what's going on because we're big, super pressure solving, magnificent creation energy, right? We're processing all of this stuff all the time. And as we process it, we're supposed to get used to certain things. Our subconscious is supposed to take care of certain things. So one of the really tricky parts is, how do you not fall into the pattern of super great things that don't have a super great feeling in that, holding each other's hand or giving each other a hug. They feel amazing at the very beginning. How do you keep it feeling amazing? 1 year, 5 years, 17 years.
That's all about you. It has everything to do with you. Whatever comes within you. If it isn't something that you love anymore, then find out why. Why isn't it something that you love but you did in the beginning?
I can tell you that the biggest trick that I learned with my own selves to navigate and really find joy in every moment was to kind of open up the door and see every moment, right? Teach yourselves that this has similarities, but it's not the same. Doesn't have to be the same.
No, because everything is evolving.
And you find the appreciation within it, right? The appreciation for a great thing. And there's going to be moments of service, and there's going to be moments where you're in service, and there's going to be moments of gratitude, and there's going to be moments of great passion. All of those moments need to be appreciated and cherished for what they are. If you're going to maximize a level of connection and choose each other all the time, but it takes two choices. It's always two energies choosing each other, or you choosing an energy and them also choosing to love the same level. And that's something to be appreciated in every moment, right? At first, when you hear it, it sounds like, oh man, what do you mean? They can choose something different all the time. And it might bring up some programs or beliefs or pressures in your cells that maybe bring up a little bit of fear. It's not something to be afraid of.
No, because if it's true love or something that you call that is love that you want in your life, then they're going to always choose you. And if not, then it wasn't meant to be. That is that simple.
And we talk to people, we work with people. We have our kids and our nephews and all these people all over the world. And they'll call up and ask, and I love getting asked an intuitive question if somebody likes me. Does somebody like me?
When they're first dating, they're little, young teenagers are so cute. They're like, so does so and so like me?
How do I tell if they like me? How do I tell if they're really caring about me? And the really simple answer is, well, they talk to you and answer all your questions, right? They like don't leave you hanging and they really want to talk to you. It's really basic. They don't have to answer you.
They don't even have to talk to you at all. Same thing goes for relationships. You don't have to be talked to at all. If your relationship is no longer having communication and a flow that's natural between each other, then there's something that can be mended or fixed or talked about. And if it's not, then it's not meant to be anymore.
So whether you're, no, I didn't mean to.
Whether you're,
You paused for half a second. I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Go.
You. Okay. So whether you're in a relationship or you're looking for a relationship or you're ready to have those levels of true love, ask yourself some questions about it in your life. Some of the pressures that go to it. A lot of us inside of ourselves, when we yearn to have acceptance and we yearn to be understood, we sort of lose our identity in the concept or in the connection, right? I know lots of people who will change who they are around every person to try to get their love and acceptance. And in doing so, they're not really a consistent version of themselves. I know lots of people who are entirely different people around their partner than they are the rest of the world.
I myself have been that way before in plenty of different relationships in my past where it may have not have been true love, but I definitely wasn't myself. But I was learning myself, and that's okay. And that's part of what true love happens, where you can gain that, you can understand that love for yourself as you start to gain understanding more of things that are happening with you. We're all growing, all of us, at all times. It's not like, bam, it just happens, and now we're just there, and oh, it's now perfect. And no, we're all growing, and we're all learning and evolving about ourselves and things that we love and don't love. And it's all stepping stones to a better understanding of who we are. And that's the best part.
So as you kind of get a chance to grow in your thinking right now or somewhere else, the things that you're displaying, the things that you're interacting, where you want this level to go to in your manifestations, what does it mean to you? Ask yourself, what's going to happen if you get that level? Like, this is one of those manifestations where it's really easy to see people going up and asking to trade things.
Mm-hmm.
I will do anything to have this in my life. I will be this other version of myself. Tell me what I need to do. It happens really regularly because we want to be loved. We want to be accepted. We really want to be cared for in a
So,
very deep level.
so we're willing to give away pieces of our own selves that we love and cherish just so that we can feel loved or accept and allow acceptance and allow the other person to have certain parts more freely in the relationship in order to make it feel like it's more comfortable or easy. But really, when it comes down to it, you start to have resentments and rejections within yourself by doing so. And you can feel it. And then it's not really a relationship anymore. It just becomes troublesome.
Now, because somewhere along the way you didn't exist inside of it, you're trying to exist outside of yourself with the pressures of everything's going on. It's a huge pressure word in life. It's a huge pressure word in our own growth. Think about it. We connect to unconditional love. Love is that word that we long to know and be a part of and know that we belong to.
Which,
Not just
which,
true love, but seventh plane love, all kinds of words of this love. And
which is what we already all have within us. It's already innate. It's already part of who we are. We're just recognizing it better, understanding what it is without sacrificing ourselves. All of us have that in us. And once we start seeing it in each other, then it allows each other to feel, know, and be able to be a part of that love together, even as friendship, not just true love and, in a relationship. It's romantic. You can have love within friendships or other sources outside of it. Love.
yeah, so everything that you share right now is perfect. It's perfectly based off the pressures of what's around you, based off of how your day's gone, based off of what time of night it is, based off of how many Zoom things that
Yeah.
you've done. We've all learned what and how you're comfortable portraying different things, right? You typed in your name. You didn't type in your name. You put a picture. You didn't put in a picture. You have your camera on. You didn't put in your camera on. All of those choices are perfect. Perfect. They're perfect. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with them. They're all yours. In a relationship, how do you keep your perfect choice and let someone have their perfect choice and have them coexist? That takes a lot of understanding, a lot of knowing that when you experience the same thing right now, the person next to you is not experiencing the same way. Even if they're your life partner and you know their brain, it's still not the same experience.
You could be experiencing complete pure joy, and they could be experiencing sadness.
Because they heard a word that one time triggered a sadness that you didn't know about. Because I could talk to Raena every day, all day long, about all the experiences of everything that I know on my conscious level. And I can't get through all the information that's inside of my cells from my ancestors and from what I processed and a memory that might pop up from when I was 3 years old. It will take my lifetime for me to know me. And even when we're there, I won't know it all. I'm still figuring, connecting things out, and we're doing it faster because of theta healing, much faster.
Oh,
But still, there's so much massive amounts of information within us that we connect and create with, that our partner is doing the same thing on in their journey. And true love is knowing that that perspective, whatever it is, and guys, every single people who are around each other all the time, they're going to have differences of viewpoints, right?
opinions and ways of life, and that happens. That's
I
normal.
mean, we're no different. We have differences of opinions.
Yes.
We have different perspectives. And one of the things that we have to work on a, a lot in terms of belief work is making sure that we're not imposing a feeling of ourself into the other person's reality, right? We want to be heard, we want it to be understood, but we don't want to impose upon their creation. And true love is knowing how to communicate yourself, how to have communication from another person and how to grow without constant imposition,
Mm-hmm.
without constantly kind of taking over and moving one life or the other. It's your life. It's always going to be your life. It's always going to be your choices. And you see sometimes people waking up and magnifying that in certain directions. But when we have that connection, you have that understanding, you know their needs, you also have to know that those needs can change. So you wake up and you decide, who is this person today? And what can they change and grow with? And how do I love them? I mean, I spend most mornings waking up and understanding that I want to discover the parts of Raena I haven't discovered yet. And in the parts that I have, I'm open to learning if they've changed. Because I want to cultivate a place where Raena can walk in the room and say, I've changed my mind. I want to have purple hair. Never having said anything. Never having had to have a conversation about whether or not she wanted purple hair. She never had to lay the groundwork. She can just come in and say, I want purple hair, and I can go, cool, without going like, no, what do you mean?
Now, I don't want purple hair, but that was
No,
a good example.
yeah, the point is just, I don't want to put her in a box that labels her as a version of Raena that Josh wants. I want to move my box to understand the version of Raena that Raena chooses all the time.
And I don't want a box. I don't want a box at all. And I don't want either of us to have a box. So we have two different opinions. We just go outside the box.
Well, probably shouldn't use the word box, I guess. Box is the trigger word for some of Raina's experience.
No boxes.
My bad, my bad. I gotta know better. I'll think of a different word next time.
It's perfect.
But I mean, but the point is to see and understand those things. Like, what is your favorite things in the world right now? And are they your favorite things in the world?
Because they're yours, or are they because they're somebody else's outside of you, your parents, your children, your spouse, or what? Why? Why is it? Because everybody else on the screen likes it? Why?
We all know that if that your favorite thing in the world right now has probably not always been your favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, when you were 3 years old, your favorite thing in the world right now was probably not even inside of your thought process, right? Very few people's favorite thing in the world when they were 3 years old is their favorite thing when they're 60 or 70 or even 30.
Yeah.
We change. We change things that sometimes we like. You know, sometimes we stay in flow and we find something that we love and we keep forever, and sometimes we change. With our partner, it's about embracing the change. The things that we change because we're changed together. We grow, we help each other grow. And you're growing at the same time in a lot of the same paths that are shared energetically, but with different viewpoints, different screens to have that experience in, which means we can never really be bored if we know how to talk to each other, right? It's hard. Where people will come up and say, how do you guys spend so much time to each other? And our answer is, I don't know. How do you not? Like, how do you not know how to have a conversation with lots of different perspectives? Because every minute is a new minute. There's something that happens and there's a new, like right now, Raina and I made a nice laugh. And then when we're done, I'm going to say, what was so funny? Because I want to know. I want to know from her perspective what brought joy and happiness, not because I want to try to bring joy and happiness, but because I want to see her world. I want to connect to her world and help her bring the things that she wants to choose. So I want to bring her a choice. If there's a joy and happiness choice that you would like right now, how do we communicate that? And we don't have to talk about it. We can communicate it on ourselves, right? And we grow it. And when you start growing it and you know yourself, then you know how to communicate to the world around you. you put in the same type of communication with your partner, it becomes easier to communicate to the whole world, to see and understand their perspectives. This is just the one place where you kind of cultivate and know you can come back to, and you know what you say is appreciated. And that's what true love is total appreciation and understanding of each other, unconditional, if possible. But we're all working on the unconditional part. We're working on our connection to unconditional love and seeing it that way. And we're gonna have moments where we get frustrated. That's okay. If you want, I mean, we say this in the relationship class quite regularly. If you want flowers every day,
And communicate that you want flowers every day, because nobody is a mind reader enough that they're going to know that you want flowers every day unless you tell them.
yeah. And then why? Do you want flowers every day so that you know you're the most important? Because you're not really asking for flowers every day.
No, you're asking for someone to tell you that you're the most important, but really, who needs to tell you they're the most important? You do. You do. You got to tell yourself you're the most important, because you're never going to fill that void inside you if you actually can't do it yourself. Flowers are never going to fill that void. And neither is the person sitting next to you. You have to do it for yourself. You have to know that you bring everything to the table, that you're the most important, and so are they.
Yeah. This is our world. We're simultaneously the most important and the lesser. I don't like to say least because it's a trigger word. I'm going to stay away from some more trigger words.
Just
But also
important.
Yeah, it's not really equal though. It's not like, okay, this is a great conversation because equal doesn't mean equal.
No.
You're better at some things than I am. It's the truth. So coming in and expecting to be equally as good as you kind of sets up in our brain that we're at this same level. We're not. There are things that you're at a higher level of processing and ability to create with.
And vice versa.
It's supposed to be that way. It's how we fit. It's how we fit as people. It's how we fit in a relationship. There are going to be things that our partner is going to be great at that we shouldn't have to try to be better than. Because it's definitely not a contest with our partner in this world, but a little bit of friendly competition never hurt anything. If you build the right mindset. Raina's a very competitive person.
Never.
Raena is a very, very competitive person.
This is true. When it comes to sports, or playing games, I am very competitive. It's a lot of fun. It's fun to be competitive and challenging.
Oh, so
it's a good question.
That's a great question. Sometimes when you have,
repeat the question.
Yeah, sure, go ahead. Okay. So the question basically is when I say to my partner what and what I need, they end up using the opposite of side of their needs and kind of use it against them. And so here's this thing. Our cells are programmed to survive, and we have our genetics trying to survive with information. And then we have this idea that control means keeping something in a certain place in our life existence. We go through this a lot. We go through understanding. If you become a teacher or you become a practitioner, you know that one of the hardest things to do is to not want to have control of the session. Somebody comes in, you see the greatness in their heart, you see how magnificent they are, and they are struggling with an illness, and you ask them, do they want to change it? And they say,
no.
And you go, no, but why? But why? Why wouldn't you want to change it? You're beautiful and you're a magnificent person and you belong in this world. And you start throwing out all these words and you start throwing out all these energies of the things that you see and you do because you want to make a change. You care. When we talk to our spouse and we communicate ourselves, they sometimes feel threatened. And they sometimes feel like the world that they live in, the television that they're seeing and experiencing of their reality, is a little challenged. And it's not even conscious. There are certain elements of ourselves that automatically want to be in control. And one of the best lessons I ever learned in my life was the fact that we are sort of programmed to give control, or feel like we should be in control in situations that really, really aren't ours to create in sometimes. So for your partner, what they're doing is they're feeling out of control and they're trying to take it back. And if they're a male, they sadly in our world probably already have a little bit of feeling of empowerment.
Mhm.
And growing up being a conservative area, which was very patriarchal, the men were automatically empowered that they're supposed to know what to do and how to do and be the right thing. And it puts a thing inside their mindset that sometimes they have to force through the right solution. And it's from years of genetic things, it's from years of feeling like this is the way it's supposed to be, this is my responsibility. And so they're not reacting in a light that is actually against you. They're trying to react in a light of feeling what they're supposed to do from the pressures of the world around them, from the pressures of their own selves, what they're supposed to do to guide you through that situation. And sometimes we have programs that make us feel like what we're supposed to do is force something. We're not actually ever supposed to force something. And why I think it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me is I was raised by women and I've always surrounded myself with very strong women. So I was raised in an environment that was shown something different than a lot of the people around. And as I started to expand in the world, I was shown that that was a huge blessing because it's not a patriarchal thing. It's not a male versus female thing. It's just two energies. And when you start to get rid of some of those pressures of your ancestors, how it's supposed to be or what's supposed to go on. So what do you do in that situation? You take a look at what's causing it because it's not direct. It's not a direct thing.
No.
Most of our actions are not direct.
Usually it has something to do with the person inside of what's going on and how things are being portrayed outside is like a projection of what is going on within their own selves, why they may need to control the situation.
So right now, while you guys are sitting here and you're collecting information, the responses that you have and your reactions are millions of years,
Hmm.
millions of years in connections and pressures and communications of cells of ancestors. And there's particles that are traveling through our world right now that can travel through your body that come from another place and they pass through you. And our body is built to recognize every single energetic cell that comes into our existence. And so we have these constant interactions from times and places, and they come together and they feed a moment. So even that moment where you shared that one thing isn't really just about that moment. It feels like it is. It feels like you've got up the courage to say something. It feels like you finally able to share everything that's going on. But their response, just like it's taken you all that time to build up and do belief work and have that courage, and you grew to that moment, their response is taking all that
İyiyim, ne yapayım?
and all that perspective to come into this reaction. And they don't know what
Akşam işte eve gidince 6:30 falan.
it's a lot easier to pretend to know what to do than to say, I don't know what to do. Rather than saying to the person in front of you, quick question for you. When you go through your day tomorrow, take a look around at the number of things that you try to solve without communication. You're going to see that there's a lot of them. When you go to the grocery store and you stand in line and you come up to pay for something, you're going to try to solve that situation without saying a word because you don't want extra pressure from something. You try to solve things without communicating. And that's all that that person is doing. They're trying to solve this pressure that they don't know how to solve from inside their cells, from their experience, instead of communicating back.
Or they're not trying to put the pressure on you. And by doing so, they're trying to alleviate.
Yeah, because I have too much pressure. I love somebody. Where should I put the where can I put the pressure? And oftentimes we put the most negative pressure on people that we love.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful phenomenon to take a look at, but oftentimes we release more negative emotion on the person we care about the most because we feel like we can.
Maybe it's subconscious and maybe it's conscious, whichever. But it can be easier because of the love that you have, hoping that they never leave because of it.
Yeah. And so basically, when you communicate that, they're not hearing you saying something, they're hearing, I'm doing something wrong. If you say, I need this, and they haven't provided it for 30 years, and all of a sudden you need it tomorrow, the very first thing they're going to hear is, I've been doing something wrong for 30 years. Because we are really hard on ourselves. Super hard on ourselves. So when we learn to communicate, we learn our intuition. The reason classes are structured the way that they are, we learn for ourselves, then we learn how to teach. Teaching is an every moment thing because teaching just means stepping outside of ourselves and knowing and seeing how to connect to another person to share that information, to inspire with that information. So go up and see how they're going to react and see how they need to have something communicated to. Even this morning in the webinar, when we connect, we're seeing 221 different ways that things can be said. 221 on. And in this very moment, there's 221 threads of information about how to share something. Our main job as a teacher or as a person is knowing how to communicate and know how to tie it together. And we struggle sometimes to do it with one person because a lot of times we're talking to ourselves.
That's the hardest part, is because we're talking to ourselves when we're talking to other people. We're relaying our information is from our own perspective, how we think it should be said, how our own opinions are, because we know ourselves better than anybody else. And so then we just start talking to ourselves rather than looking inside at the person next to us and saying, well, this is how he processes it. This is how he sees it. I probably should do it that way rather than doing it the way of our own understanding and looking at it from the different perspectives that they may be taking it. That could be triggersome.
Yeah, if I was talking to myself right now about true love, I would walk in and say, true love is the greatest thing in the world and you should have it. And then I would walk away because that's myself. That's exactly what I already know. That's the entirety of it. That's clearly not what we really need to talk about because there's been a process inside of me to get there, right? And it's the process of how to get there, how to cultivate that kind of connection, how to make those things happen that is important. Oftentimes we share the end point, but not the process. And we don't know how to connect and communicate what's going on. So how do we grow in that communication? We know ourselves, start to know ourselves in every moment. And then we look at this pressure and we go, okay, now how do I communicate this pressure to be understood in their world of pressures? So before I come and talk to Raena about something, if I'm frustrated, which I do get frustrated.
Yes, you do.
Most of my frustrations are with lots of different things that go on in creating and managing a whole bunch of different places that we work and do things. And if I get frustrated, I have to stop and think, how do I explain this to Raena in a way that makes it seem, because Raena wants to fix things.
Uh-huh.
So when I explain something to Raina, I have to explain it in a way that's not a problem to fix all the time. I have to explain it in terms of, so I'll start off the conversation and say, I'm not trying to fix this. And she'll do the same thing. I don't want this fixed.
Right, because you can prefacing that allows them just to say, okay, let me just kind of spew out all the things that I want to talk about and just kind of let it go. You know, when you get with your girlfriends, you're like, I just want to let this on my chest. Okay, we do that with each other. We're just like,
Sometimes we're just gonna get it off our chest.
get off our chest, talk about it, be like, okay, I feel better. We just talked it out. Better, better.
There are even some moments where you know you're going to say something that is going to be interpreted and possibly hurt their feelings.
Oh yeah.
And you don't say, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, because you really
Already
are just
know.
trying to say what you need to say. Okay. You would like them not to be upset. But we say things like, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. Really, what we're trying to say is, please don't be upset with me communicating my emotions. I'm not directing it towards you. I'm just trying to find a solution. That's a hard sentence to reach in life. When we take a look at it, men struggle to even know and connect to emotions. We do the emotions thing with algorithm,
Uh-huh.
and we walk around and we'll do it with females, and they have a higher number. It's not 450 every day that they remember, but we would go through the girls' basketball thing and it would be like, they would be like, I have 30 and I have 150 and all these numbers that are good numbers. And we walk up to certain men and like, how many emotions did you feel today? And they're like, one,
Three.
three. You're like, but no, really. And they're like, no, really. I got angry once. Okay. On a physical level, we know chemical reaction, there's 450 emotions in every person today. At least it's the small number. They're not allowed to be in a tune all the time. And that comes from years of pressure. So it's not when you communicate it, it's them trying to take control and move the pressure away and say, I don't know how to deal with this pressure. And really they're telling you, I don't know how to deal with this pressure.
And sometimes the emotions that are involved with it. So they are kind of trying to work through how to talk about the emotions that they have. And that can be challenging, especially if you don't have the emotional intelligence to do so yet. We're still learning how to, or they're learning how to relate to what emotion it even is. And that could be something that can really hinder a communication in a relationship.
Yeah, so really you did the right thing and they don't know how to handle or solve the situation because they care about you.
Yeah.
And it seems like they don't because they're trying to control their way through it. But really, they're trying to get back to a place that they know you in a certain way so that they can feel like they have control of their own self or themselves because they don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So that reaction where they're trying to move you in that way has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them feeling like they don't have the same level of understanding and control in their lives. And when we start to see this, start to see people's realities, like you understand and you watch, listen, you see intuitively. We get lots of people come up to us after they go to dinner and they say, you guys watch everything because we watch everything. We love to watch the interaction of everything. We know that the people, the servers, the cooks, it's that way everywhere. Right now, we're watching you guys. We're watching your names pop up. We're watching your energies. Even if your camera's not on, we're watching. We're paying attention to the pressures of what's going on to know how to use those pressures to communicate, right? So when we connect and we scan, we're watching. We're using that information. We're seeing the flow of everything. And we process so much that you expand the process. So in that situation, understanding that you communicated yourself and what your needs are, understanding that they're struggling, all you really have to say sometimes is, look, I know I knocked you off your game a little bit, made you feel a little bit out of control. That wasn't my intention. I'm not trying to say you're not a great person or you're not a great man or you're not a great anything. I'm just trying to communicate who I am. All right, one more question that popped up that we're going to answer is how do you know you're how do we know you're
How do you know
really?
you're really with the right person?
Gotcha. That's what, yeah. A little bit. So,
How do you feel
mm,
when you're with that person? That will tell you everything about yourself, everything about them. That's really big cues into your own understanding of yourself and them
but to take it a little bit
deeper.
deeper,
Mhm. Those are
there's
just surface answers. Really help you to see deeper
you,
inside.
yeah, you know when you walk in a room where your cells fit.
Oh yeah.
And there's going to be more than one place that they fit, right? So part of the pressure in life is our cells communicate,
Mm.
and our cells are wireless communicating to know who we line up with, and we are born specifically with chemicals for attraction. It's a very specific thing. Within those chemicals of attraction, how do we sort through and figure out who the right one is? Well, the right one is the person that we cultivate the best things with, the best version of ourselves that we feel the most secure with, that we can communicate with each other. It's not going to stop your cells from going out and scanning. So there's this myth that when you find the right one, no one else exists. That's not true. Your cells will always scan and see other people existing.
Always.
Always.
Yeah.
The right one just means that you don't care to put in the effort anywhere else because you enjoy the connection and effort and growth that you have here. You're going to continue to scan and move around in lots of different ways, and you know they're the right one because you felt it at the spark. But the question comes up, are they still the right? If you don't grow together and you go in different directions for 5 years and your cells change, and they don't change together in a way that's understood, then your body's going to cause confusion because your body's going to go looking for who fits better to share information with. Your body knows it wants to communicate. It knows it wants to connect. You were attracted to each other because you could communicate the best. Your cells could talk, they could share.
And you brought out the best in each other. And if that's not happening anymore, then it's a time to have a good conversation about why.
Yeah.
With yourself first.
So you know because your cells tell you. Your cells say you can share information, and they tell you when you wake up in the morning if something's changing.
Oh yeah.
They're your constant presence, your constant guide. They let you know what's going on within you. You have prompts, you have information. And most of the time when you figure out, was this really the right person? You knew they were the right person. You could feel things changing. And then it reaches a point where it's overwhelming because your cells are going out there and saying, we don't really balance each other the same way that we did in the beginning.
And sometimes that's as easy as just a communication so that you guys can go back in alignment with each other to understand the pressures that each of you are feeling in life so that things can feel more balanced. So you can really communicate what's going on. That easy. And then sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a little more challenging and you realize each of you are going down different paths. And that's okay.
And it's also why we attract sometimes the same type of person into our life.
That's true.
Because our cells know for us to exist in a certain way, we don't want to necessarily be impeded upon, right? There's aspects of our personality that maybe if they were shared, turn into a competition. And if you look at the pressures of the worlds that have shaped ourselves, you can see that sometimes you're going to attract a person that lets you keep an aspect that you really like, but takes away aspects that you also like, and you don't know why. It's because your subconscious is saying, I really like this aspect. This will let me magnify and keep it. And this will let me share my information and have the majority of it stored.
So if you really like to control situations and this person allows you to control the situation, but they don't allow you to have other aspects of things that you love about yourself, then that may be things that you're attracting in your life repetitively in the person that you constantly are finding each time.
And part of being opposite, you guarantee there's not going to be any impediment, right? You guarantee that you guys can grow with each other and make it so that your information thrives because no one's going to take it. They're the opposite.
They're not anything like you.
They're not creeping into parts of your information in any way, shape, or form. So your cells, very smart, very, very smart. We'll always have that balance in existence without any competition. We won't feel like, oh, I have to compete to be this one. Mm-hmm. They're the opposite. There is none. And so it starts to feel really at peace because there's that total integration concept of our cells sharing information. Our cells don't think in terms of
linear
30 years, 40 years, 60 years. That's our conscious and subconscious. That's us programming things and setting up within the thing. Our cells are responsive chemical communicators that are letting you know and sharing all the information. And then your subconscious is taking all that information and saying, this is the best way to use it. So if you're tracking the wrong type of person in your life and it seems like the same one, it's because your cells have the right reason. The exact perfect reason.
And that comes down to you. Do you want to look inside and find out why? If it's something that you don't like, or do you want to keep it? And how is it serving you? Is it helping you? That's a choice.
Yeah. So we have our manifestations, we have our connections, we have our motivations of where we want love to go. What are you going to do with all this information? What are you going to do with this connective moment right now and grow into loving yourself and finding true love levels within that relationship
and becoming
carrying it to your partner in harmony? Are you going to take that information and move forward tomorrow? Well, let's let you manifest.
Yeah.
So you can't manifest that somebody loves you, but you can manifest for yourself. And I would manifest to call in the right levels of a relationship if you're in it already.
If you're in it already, for sure. And if you're not in it already, the right levels would still be good.
And how I would manifest that is by manifesting how to communicate. Seeing myself communicating clearly, seeing myself showing love for myself that's appreciated and love for another person, and being able to communicate it in the best way possible. So there's a lot of times where we use remember your future. And one of the best things that we have that works for both of us is we don't mind hard conversations with each other.
No.
In fact, we appreciate hard conversations with each other because we would rather sit down and talk about perspectives that are diverging at the beginning than let them build up towards the end.
Right. That just doesn't work. Then because things happen with resentments and we don't want to get to that stage. That doesn't work. That causes problems. And as we all know, it can cause problems in the body and relationships for sure.
Well, one of the great things about being intuitive is to be really great and attract people that want to come and learn or have sessions is to say difficult things in a very easy way. And so if I was manifesting, because we're going to do a manifestation here in a minute that lets you open up your doors of love in some ways, I would be manifesting and cultivating the ability to communicate myself, even moments that are difficult, in really great ways.
I would also manifest that I could understand myself best so that I could cultivate and communicate not only myself, but understand through their perspectives how to say them in a manner that not only is advantageous for them, but for me.
Like, sorry, that is the quietest walk I've ever seen on camera on Zoom being done.
Where?
Celine, I think, is walking so quietly through the room.
Celine.
Celine, however you say it, she's doing such a good job. Her camera's barely moving. Like she knows that it can be seen, and it's such a quiet walk.
That's pretty cute.
It was very well done. Very, very soft and gentle walk through the moment in time and place. And it was perfectly timed because we're talking about communicating ourselves. And you can see like there's an awareness to I'm going to move, but I'm not going to
I don't want to
interrupt the
disrupt.
viewpoint. Even with their camera on. It was very, very,
very thoughtful. Yes.
Very, very cool.
Yes.
Those are the kind of things that you'll see more of as you open up your intuition. You know yourself. The more you know yourself, the more you're not inside of yourself trying to figure things out. The more you know, I know this, I can focus on these
other
things, these other people, these different things going on around us. So we're going to walk you through manifestation. Yep. Hopefully you have a list. You can call in an energy into your life. You can't make them love you. You can't manifest for them, but you can manifest them coming into your life, and you can manifest higher levels
of love for yourself and with your relationship that you already have currently.
Now, you can't make the other person take that level and join you on it, but you can manifest the opportunity for you both to have that choice.
Go for it.
All right. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take in that deep breath. Gather the energy up. Bring it up through the bottoms of your feet. Up above your space, you're going to see yourself in that beautiful ball of light. You're going to go up through the sky and the universe, through layers of light, through layers of golden light, through a gray jelly-like substance, all the way up to that key light. When you're there, you're going to say, Creator of all that is, these moments and opportunities and this manifestation is in my life now. Thank you. It is done. It's done. It's done. And you are going to come down and see yourself having that energy integrated into your existence from the seventh plane. And you're going to see it just like you go to sleep tonight, you wake up tomorrow, and it starts to become a part of your life. You're going to remember it happening in the way that you manifest. Make sure you witness until it's totally completed. And when you finish, you go back up to that teeny light, right? Take in your deep breath and open your eyes.
Awesome. For those of you that are still doing it, of course, you keep doing it. For those of you that are back, thank you for all the wonderful hearts. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And thank you, interpreters, for finding all the words to be able to hear both of us and communicate both of our everything that we're saying. Because sometimes it's not always in sync. So we appreciate it. Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for joining us. And thanks, everybody. We always love talking about true love. We hope you find everything that you're looking for. We hope to see you next month. Thanks, everyone. Have a fabulous evening or day.